Hey guys, and welcome back to a brand new video and another league racing video here today for the AOR race in Germany for round number 6 of season 17 on the PC F2 split. If you guys missed round 5 for the British Grand Prix at Silverstone, then check out the race guys by clicking in the card in the top right hand corner of the screen before coming back to this race. But this one here at the Hockenheim, a very decent track for me, one that actually I think I'm quite quick on. I've got good pace. The compounds are the ultras, the softs and the mediums, so no super softs for this track, which is going to make strategy very interesting, and I think everyone's going to try and attempt to qualify at least on the soft compound tyres, if not maybe the mediums, and then we've got the wet tyres as always in case we need some rain, if there's some rain. But Germany's a funny one for me because last season, if you didn't see the race from last season when I was in F3, a category or a tier below, I qualified last year. I had a lot of FPS issues around this circuit and a lot of lag, and funnily enough my actual lap that I did set was actually fast enough for pole, but the lap was invalidated and I couldn't get a clean run together. However, I started from the back, when I really should have started from pole, and then also in the race I ended up with the fast lap of the Grand Prix, and I had pace to win the race, but again I had more lag issues. I got taken out in the race and it wasn't a smooth one for me, so I'm hoping to try and rectify that this year round in F2, and fingers crossed I can try and have a strong performance here, also because I kind of need a strong performance in the championship because things have slipped away a little bit, and 5 races in I won the first race and I've got a 5th place finish, and that is about it, and everything else has been a 0, or I didn't attend to any of the races. So I need to try and get some big points on the board to also try and solidify my top 5 status. So the pressure is on here at the Hockenheim ring for the German Grand Prix. So that being said, we're going to jump into qualifying and we're going to see how things go. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we can try and rectify last year's mistake. So it's now time for the qualifying report. So jumping into qualifying there here on the Saturday at Hockenheim, and it's overcast conditions, and the first mistake of the weekend that happened here, to be honest, and this one was kind of my fault, but kind of the game as well. So on the monitor there was no rain expected this weekend, including this session, but as the session went on I could kind of notice there were some very light droplets on the screen. They were very, very few and far between, but it was kind of spitting, and even though the session was meant to be dry, it did get worse as the session went on, and I didn't really realise this at the time, and I kind of focused on getting a late run in on the soft tyres. As you can see right now, I'm currently on the mediums, and this was actually my best lap of the session, which says a lot, to be honest with you. I was just trying to get to grips with the track, and obviously I went out on the mediums, the slowest tyre available, to get a feel for the circuit, and I was going to go for a couple of runs. My ideal would have been an out lap, a time lap, and then a cool down lap, another time lap, and then the in lap on the mediums. I wanted to go for quite a few laps, and I wanted to see, if I could set a decent lap time on these and see where we stacked up in amongst, the other people in the league. Now, as you can see, currently halfway through a lap here, we've currently got Rayner in the Williams going fastest, I believe, and we're going to see where we are through sector 2, about half second down, to be fair, quite a way down on the Williams, as we go into sector 3 now and going through the sacked hairpin. You can see we're hitting a bit of traffic here, but luckily Julian moves out of the way in the False India as we now go through the chicane into the penultimate corner. This one very tricky. This one's the car wants to understeer wide, and now through the final corner on the power, nice and smooth as we open up DRS across the line, and that's going to be a benchmark lap time. We do go P3. We're actually improving the final sector quite a bit there and set a purple sector. However, my in-lap or my cooldown lap didn't go according to plan because I didn't really save enough ERS. You can see in the bottom right, I didn't save a full battery, so I decided to go for a second cooldown lap and try and get the battery completely charged up, and then go for one more time lap afterwards. In the meantime though, the rain started to pick up a little bit in intensity. It's very vague, but the rain was slowly but surely making the track a little bit less greasier, a little bit more greasy, sorry, and a little bit more understeery. And as you can see now, I finally managed to go for a full lap, and straight away through turn 1 I absolutely binned it. The understeer from the rain started to kick in a little bit there, and I missed my apex at turn 1, ran wide, and I invalidated it straight away. So I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to come straight to the pit lane and coming for the soft compound tyres. You can see currently on my in lap I'm actually up on my previous best anyway, because I pushed all the way through the lap, and I'm trying to race back to the pits here before the rain gets any worse. And you can see that as we hit the pit lane now, just making sure we don't speed. This pit lane is a very tricky one, it does catch you out, to be fair, and we're going to now strap on a set of the soft compound tyres, and we're going to see if we can try and set a relatively decent benchmark. However, it does feel like I've left it a little bit late because the rain is picking up, and as a consequence of the rain, as you just saw there, when rain starts to fall I get screen freezes. So luckily through turn 1 I somehow did not pick up an invalidation, but the rain is now falling and the screen freezes are occurring. You can see on screen we've had 2 of them already on the lap so far, and I knew at this point that I was going to be in big trouble. And we're currently sitting last in P15. You can see in the back straight, suddenly I just lost 3/10 for some reason. I don't know why. I was 3/10 up going onto the back straight, and then I lost all of that, literally opening up the DRS pretty much, and then another screen freeze there into their brake zone, which sends me wide, and I lose my advantage. And at this point, I accepted that I was not going to improve, and I had no interest in getting to the top 10 on these tyres, which were going to be absolutely worn out. So I thought to myself, okay, you know what? I'll take the L. Bad session for me. I'm going to retire and accept the fact that we got it all wrong in the session, and we're going to start the race from the back of the grid. Admittedly, you know, the screen freezes did frustrate me a bit, because without the screen freezes I could have had a better chance. I could have pushed more, but the screen freezes just didn't give me any confidence in the car to be able to push, and it's very easy to lose the back end and have a spin once you get the screen freezes. Nonetheless though, you can see the grid on screen. Nobody went for the ultras, and everyone's on the softs or mediums, and it's a very competitive grid, to be fair. Very, very close up the sharp end there. And the i7 Swiss actually in P2, and then we've got THM in P3. It's actually Martin G who got pole. I had to scroll down the results so you can see my name, but Martin G in the Sauber got pole position once again, and Swiss on the front row with him, and then it's THM and Smij, both of the Ferraris there on row number 2. My teammate Koldo only P6, and we both need to bounce back, you know, for this race, because in Silverstone we had a very, very poor race. The pair of us, both of us getting taken out, and you know, not scoring points. So we need to try and bounce back here today. So the pressure is on, and we're going to see how it goes. But that being said, qualifying is now in the books, and we're going to move to the race on Sunday, and we're going to see if we can try and bag a couple of decent points and try and bring home a solid Constructors' Hall for the McLaren team, but also for me personally in the Drivers' Championship, try and reignite my title hopes. So let's jump into the race for the German Grand Prix. Right, here we go then. As you can see, the formation lap gets underway here on the Sunday for the race, and very nice conditions here for the German Grand Prix. Meanwhile, on screen you can see the strategy. We're going to start on the mediums, the slowest tyre available, and then transition over to the softs. Pretty straightforward strategy, subject to change in terms of how far we can go in the first stint on the mediums, and fuel-wise we are about 3 laps over on fuel, so quite heavy, so I can be aggressive during the race, and hopefully that will pay off for me. And hopefully the one-stop pays off as well. I think that could be a strong strategy. It was very strong in the Austrian Grand Prix when we got P5 in that race, so I'm hoping for that to kind of happen again, and the reverse strategy will become very strong at the end of the race. With that being said though, we're going to line up at the back of the grid in last place here for the German Grand Prix, as the 5 red lights come on here for the Hockenheimring in the German Grand Prix. The 5 lights are on, and it's lights out, and away we go for round 6 of the season, and it's a pretty average start as we got off the line straight away into turn 1. I was being very cautious here and actually took a massive chunk out of turn 1. Luckily I was going so slow that I didn't get a corner cut, but I was trying to be cautious into the first corner, also turn 2 as well, just taking it very easy. I'm at the back, there's no point in rushing, but then I saw the window of opportunity here through turn 3, cars all over the place, and we're going to get a great move around the outside, a huge save there, really having to get the opposite lock on to really save the back end of the car through turn 3, one of my best saves actually in quite a long time. Meanwhile we've got Julian and Rainer behind us, but meanwhile we're up to P13 here, a good start as we go early into the apex of the turn 5 hairpin to try and protect that position, and so far it's been a good start. 2 places gained, you know, playing the conservative approach, waiting for the window of opportunity to present itself, and we took those 2 positions there pretty straightforwardly. But now we're going to see if we can try and get these mediums up to temperature. We've got Aero in front of us, also Krysix and also Serdai are on the mediums, so those 3 guys are in front of us, and it's myself and Julian also on mediums. But meanwhile now onto lap 2, and Rainer in the Williams, of course he's on the soft tyres, and he's going to have the grip advantage early on, and once he corrected his mistake on lap 1, he got up to speed and he was starting to fancy his chances, and he was all over the back of me, to be fair, and I wasn't going to fight it too hard because he did have the extra grip, and at this stage the mediums did feel quite understeery and they weren't fully up to temperature. So there you go, Rainer down the inside, very simple move there from the Williams driver, and we're going to settle for P13 here, as you can see just behind him, and we're going to see if we can try and make some more progress here going forward. And so here we go on to lap number 3 then, and DRS is now enabled as we're behind Rainer still, and he's actually trying to go for a moving error, but he almost goes into the back of him there. That's going to give me the opportunity to try and come back at the Williams here as we get a good exit out of turn 3, now going through turn 4 on the banking, on the kink on the back straight. DRS wide open here. Rayner's got DRS as well, but we've got such a good toe. We're going to pull to the inside. Can we get it done? On the braking into the hairpin on the medium tyres. Yes, we do. Very late in the day on the brakes, but Rayner holds it around the outside. A little bit of contact there on the exit. I have to leave Rayner the room, and then a little bit of lag comes into fruition here, and I take a very early apex. I actually cut the corner and pick up my first corner cut of the race there through the fast right, but I had to play safe. A little bit of a squeeze there from Rayner, and as he gets the move done there, but a little bit of lag involved, and I think it was on my end because I had a lot of screen freezes this race, and I just had to play extra safe by cutting the corner and making sure I wasn't too close to the Williams. But with that being said, back down to P13 then on lap number 5, and Aarava, Kreisig and Rayner all going to battle here, and actually Aarava and Kreisig switch positions as Rayner goes through, and that's going to put these two guys on the back foot, both of these guys on the mediums like myself, so it's important for me to overtake them in terms of strategy this race if I want to try and have a good opportunity of scoring some solid points here today. And you can see currently in the mini lap as well, there's quite a gap in front of these two guys, so it'd be great to get into that pocket of space and really put in some lap times and do some work. So as you can see now, on lap number 6 here, I was starting to study Kreisig a little bit here and see his lines and see what he was doing. And he was braking extremely early for the hairpin, very, very early. He kept on constantly going for the dummy on Aarava into the apex and then coming back into the racing line. So I kind of downloaded that information onto my hard drive, into my head, and I thought I kept that in mind for later laps. As you see here, once again, we've got the run on Kreisig here with the DRS as we race down towards the hairpin. A little bit far back once again. Kreisig having a look at Aarava. He comes back to the racing line, and again we gain a lot into the brake zone there. So a bit more information downloaded, and I'm starting to really get a good idea of where the overtake is going to happen on the Mercedes. You can see again Kreisig having a look, and then comes back into the racing line once again the very next lap on the Toro Rosso. And at this point I made the decision, okay, you know what, I'm going to try and make this move, and I've seen enough laps, I've seen enough what Kreisig is doing, so I'm going to commit to it. So here we go, this time through turn 3 we get a great exit here, DRS open on the Mercedes, and I'm going to try and go for this move here into the hairpin. We are a lot closer, but then a little bit of lag kicks in, as you can see there, and then we're going to get a second screen freeze which puts Kreisig too far out of reach. I was going to commit to the move, but I can't lock up. I have a second thought because I could have committed to it, but I felt like I was going to take him out, and eventually I had to settle back in behind, which was really annoying because I was hoping to make that overtake, as we've got looks like a Toro Rosso or a Red Bull in the pit lane there, but I was hoping to really make that overtake, because once I got past Kreisig I could have got past Aarava, and then that's it, then we're into the clean air. But instead it took me a couple of laps to kind of readjust myself and regain my composure. And in the meantime, we've had cars come to the pit lane, so we're now up to P11 in this race. But finally on lap 12 here, I believe, and we're starting to really catch up to Kreisig now and make a push for that, that position. As you can see, we're now into P10, and we pick up our second track extension of the Grand Prix through turn 1. But like I said, these laps were quite frustrating because I could have had Kreisig 5 laps ago, but I've had to kind of regain my confidence, and also coincidentally Kreisig picked up the pace a little bit, in those 5 laps, so I had to kind of respond as well. But eventually I found my groove again, and on lap 14 I was starting to feel confident again of maybe getting an overtake on the Mercedes. Kreisig a little bit further back from Aarava this time, so he won't get as good of a toe. And here we go then onto the back straight. I'm going to use the overtake ERS and see if I can try and gain on the Mercedes here. We are quite far back, and will it happen into the brake zone? Kreisig again getting the one on Aarava. Instead though, we're going to just sit behind. I'm going to reconfirm, and again it's the same pattern as before. I was watching Aarava and I saw that he was braking early, so I knew that it was going to happen into that corner. We've got more cars in the pit lane though, as we currently make up more positions, jumping up into the top 5 in this race now. And then Kreisig runs wide here at turn 1, and at this point this was the window of opportunity. I thought to myself, okay, P5, there's not much traffic up the road, and Aarava's right there. I think we can do this. This is the one. We have to get this job done before the pit stops if I want to have any chance of going forward this race. So here we go. This time I'm a little bit closer than last time on the Mercedes. Kreisig's getting a very nice toe from Aarava, and I think he had less error than me, but still into the hairpin. This time we're going to absolutely send one into the brake zone. To be fair, it's relatively comfortable, and it was kind of how I expected it to be. I studied Kreisig for all those laps, and eventually the research and the homework paid off as we got the move done into the hairpin, and we're now past the Mercedes, and we can now begin our hunt down of Aarava in the Toro Rosso. And again, I had to kind of study Aarava a little bit and see what his lines were compared to Kreisig, as we've got more cars in the pit lane, and we jump up to P3. At this point, Serdai in the Mercedes leads the race on the mediums, and he's the first of the medium runners, and then we've got Error in second and I'm in third. So if I can get past Error, I can then get into that clean space and try to chase after Serdai in the Mercedes. So as you can see now, onto the back straight, we've got a run on Error. Error doesn't have DRS, unlike Cry6, so we are going to gain quite a bit here on the Toro Rosso on the back straight. And here we go, we've got a nice toe racing towards the hairpin, and once again I'm going to try and send one down the inside. It's a little bit late, and we have just about enough room on the apex there. Error turning into the apex, and they give me just about enough space there to try and get the car rotated. But still, I'm not giving up. I'm going to use the ERS here to really get a good one through the fast right into the Mercedes-Benz grandstand, but I can't go late enough on the brakes, and Error goes around the outside and holds on to his P2 for now. But the pressure is mounting on the Toro Rosso driver here, and I'm trying to get this move done because I want to make the most of these final laps on the mediums before we pit around lap 19-20. So here we go, onto the back straight once again, pretty much same distance as last time, maybe a little bit closer, and we are going to once again get DRS, but it seems like Error has not turned up the engine for this one, and I think he might not have much DRS or fuel, and we're going to comfortably breeze down the inside this time and get the move done into the brake zone, avoiding the switchback by parking my car on the apex and getting the straight line exit. And we're actually going to have to use some fuel and ERS here though to try and defend, as Error is going to get the run here, but luckily we just about stay in front, and we're now going to hold on to the second place behind Serdai and in front of Error. So we're making good progress here in terms of the medium runners, and you can see now on the next lap it's actually starting to open up a gap here to the Toro Rosso. We go through turn one though, we pick up a corner car, and that's my first 3-second time penalty of the race, and once again time penalties play a part in my AOR races, and I was frustrated as well because I really thought I could have got away with it this race. Meanwhile, Serdai on lap 19 comes into the pit lane, so he's had enough of those tyres. We're going to start for one more. I was going to come in lap 19 originally, but I felt like I had one more lap in the tyres, and I did have one more lap to be fair, and it was a good decision because it's one lap fresher softs in this, this strategy. Julian actually goes for one more on the medium, so a very bold strategy there from the Force India driver. Meanwhile, though, we're going to come into the pit lane and we're going to strap on a fresh set of the soft compound tyres. Let's see how the stop goes. There we go, pretty straightforward, and 2.7 what we normally get, and we're going to rejoin in P13 once again here behind all the traffic. So we're back where we were. However, we do have the benefit of the soft compound tyres, and we've got Cry6 behind us there in the Mercedes. He came in last lap, so we're still ahead of him, which is good. He's on the softs as well. And now moving on towards the end of the lap, and Julian, who was on the mediums, he's now going to come in and serve his pit stop. So we're going to get promoted up into P12 and retake that position as Cry6 behind me sets the pace in the Mercedes. And I had to respond, so that's exactly what I've done. I really got my head down this lap, hammer time, to quote an old friend, and you can see across the line as we go, there we go, purple lap, we go fastest, and to be fair, it's a pretty strong lap to be honest. That final sector was really, really good, and that was my strongest part of the lap compared to anybody else. I seem to be running a little bit more aero than other people, but nonetheless, on lap 25 here, another purple lap here, as we're now starting to put the pressure on Rick in the Red Bull here, and I can smell the points. They're not too far up the road. Look at the train of cars in the minimap. We're not out of this just yet. The tyres are working good. We've got the pace. We're the fastest man on track, and the strategy's playing into our hands right now quite nicely, and there's battles up the road as well. So, but unfortunately, this is when the race turned really sour, because I had a screen freeze before with Cry6, but my DRS has gone offline. Now, it could have been worse. It could have stayed open, which is a lot worse, but my DRS actually doesn't open now. So this is frustrating when I'm trying to pass these two guys, Zerd and Rick, who are currently having a hefty battle here. And I don't have DRS assistance, which is really, really annoying. So we're going to have to try and get this done the old-fashioned way without DRS. And as you can see here, they're currently still side by side here as they go into the Mercedes-Benz grandstand. And now through the next right, Rick gets pushed onto the grass there, and I'm going to slide through and cash in on that one and take that position straight away like a lion, like a hyena, just jumping on the prey and making the move stick. And we get past the Red Bull, and that's going to give us now a free opportunity of getting past Zerd. And it's going to be a tricky one this because we don't have DRS. So again, it's going to be compromised slightly, but we are somewhat within range. I'm going to have to use a lot of my ERS here and fuel to really get this one done. You can see the difference without DRS in terms of how much you gain, but we are close enough here, and we're going to send one on the brakes down the inside at the hairpin, and a little double lock up there, but we're going to get it slowed down and squeeze Zerd out on the exit. And without DRS, we still make the pass on both of those guys. Now we're now finally into the top 10, and look at the minimap, guys. The car's in front. We've got a good chance here of scoring good points. Zerd tries to come back at me there, but no way through. But we're making solid progress. Serdai, remember, he's on the same strategy, and he's in like P4 or P5 now, so I know it's possible, and I fancy my chances. You can see the minimap where everybody is going into the hairpin. Nobody's too far away here, but then this is where the race really took a bad turn. Screen freeze, I lose it in the brake zone, and it was so annoying. I lost the back end. I'll give myself a pat on the back for the save. It was an incredible save, but we dropped down to last place. once again, and in the process we overheated our tyres, and my rears were on like 103 degrees Celsius, so I had to take it easy for a little bit to make sure I got my tyres back down to temperature. And it was annoying because, let's not forget, my DRS is still offline, so I can't do anything here. There's this 4-car train. Look at the minimap, look how many cars there are. And if I'd not had these incidents, the screen freeze at the first part of the race, if I hadn't had the screen freeze, just a moment ago, if my DRS hadn't gone offline for 4 laps, it could have been a much different race. It really could have been a different race, guys. Look at the minimap, look where the leader is. We're not that far behind, and we're in last place, and again, we've got the 4-car battle in front here for the points, and there's no DRS, so I can't do nothing about it. I visually fall back on the straights again into the sacked hairpin. I'm having a look at Crysis here to get past and trying to find the positions. My tyres are now somewhat back down to temperature, and I can push again, so I'm going to try and make some moves happen. Again, Crysis runs wide. I'm very close to making a move, but I just can't get it done, and then he opens up the DRS, and I start to fall back again onto the back straight here. I don't have DRS, so then you're going to see, look at the 4 cars in front, just pull away on the straight, and I can't do much about it. In the meantime, I'm saving ERS because I want to save my ERS in case I have to use it all to get past the car on a straight. And you can see here, they're still battling in front of us here, all 4 of these guys, and the positions are still not changing. We're still P14, and bear in mind at this point, we could have been P10 and long gone into the distance and chasing the the P9, P8, P7 positions in this race, but unfortunately we're still at the back here after that screen freeze. And then this time Crysis runs wide again in the Mercedes. We're going to try and cash in, but we don't have enough on the straight, as Crysis has a nice toe from Zerd and he stays in front for now, but the pressure is still on. Meanwhile, we've got some idiot in the Force India putting over. I think his strategy didn't really work out, and I think he pretty much gave up on his pursuit of trying to hold on to the points, and that's going to give us P13. That would have given us P9 if we hadn't had our spin. But you can see, meanwhile here, Crysis again under pressure as we're trying to make a move. And then finally, now we've got our DRS back on lap 30. So we are going to get a chance at the end of the race to try and make something happen with DRS back online. But I definitely suffered, those 4 laps without it, or 5 laps. It was such a painful experience just seeing people pull away on the straight. But finally, we've got DRS, and we can now get back to racing here and try and make some things happen. So as you can see, currently P13, we've still got the 4 cars in front of us here battling for the tail end of the points, as I believe Julian is at the front of the train, the Force India. Meanwhile, Crysis trying to go down the inside, and I can't really turn in just yet as I'm watching these guys battle. Crysis trying to go on the outside, but Rick has contact with him, and we're once again going to make the move at that corner by taking the inside line, and literally just being like a bit of like a hyena, just picking off our prey and waiting for the opportunity. Meanwhile, Rick here in the Red Bull, similar to some idiot, he was struggling as well, and I think he's going to try and give the position back to Crysis. I might be mistaken, but because of the incident before, I think he wants to give the place back to Crysis. So fair racing there from Rick in the Red Bull, but in that process we take P11 here, so we're smelling the points. And on the last lap of the Grand Prix, I've caught up to Zerd, and I've got a run on him here onto the back straight, and I've got a chance. I'm a little bit far back, but there's a long way to go. But then we have a huge screen freeze, and we drop back behind Crysis. So we've lost the position again for the 3rd time this race, and another big screen freeze. And we're dropped down to P12 on the last lap of the Grand Prix. And at this point, I was going absolutely ballistic. I was furious, and I was literally smashing things with my fist. I just could not believe how unfortunate this race has worked out for me, because we had the screen freeze trying to get past Crysis at the start of the race, then we had the DRS go offline, then we had the screen freeze just a moment ago, and then the other one where we went for that huge spin into the hairpin. Without all these incidents, it could have been such a different race for us. Look where the race winner is, and Cerise won the race on track, but then the win would have been given to, I believe, THM in the Ferrari due to penalties. And across the line then, it's P12 for us as we finish the German Grand Prix, and it's actually going to be P11 because Julian in the Force India, who was in front of us, had penalties, 6-second time worth of penalties. And this is when it got really frustrating for me, because even with all the issues we had this race, if I just hadn't have had that last screen freeze, that very last one which gave Crysis the position, we would have finished in the points. Because bear in mind, Crysis obviously gained the position on us, but also we lost time. I could have had a chance of getting past Zerd. We finished P11 in the end, and Julian actually finished behind us. So really frustrating. We could have had points there. And look at Serdai, he was P4 in the end of the race, and he had a penalty. So I was around 4 seconds behind Serdai on track before the pit stops, and he was on the same strategy as me. And with that time penalty that he had, in theory we could have finished P4, P5 in that race. And it's really frustrating that, again, like Bahrain, I finished out of the points just because bad luck really, screen freezes and a lack of performance. Screen freezes, I had those in Silverstone as well, and it's got to a point now where it's just becoming too much for me. So I think from now on I'm gonna really lower my graphics to the point where it looks horrific. But I need the performance because I can't keep racing like this because it's really becoming frustrating for me, guys. So hopefully you can understand that. Meanwhile, though, THM does win and Smeech gets second. So it's a 1-2 for Ferrari in the championship, both the drivers and constructors. And Sweets gets P3. Good job from him in the Haas. And then we've got Serdar P4. Good recovery from him again in the Mercedes on the medium tyres, doing the reverse strategy. And I was hoping to, do what he did and get at least P5. A top 5 finish would have been realistic. And on another day, I think I could have avoided the penalty as well. Meanwhile, though, Martin GP5, then we've got Lemon P6, then Rayner as well. Rayner, we was battling with him earlier on in the Grand Prix. He finished P7. Calder, my teammate, only P8. Disappointing race for my teammate. And then Zerd and also Crysis ran off the points there. But it just goes to show we was in front of Crysis and we should have at least scored 1 point today. And we deserve points. The way we drove that race with the overtakes, the DRS being offline, making the double overtake, and all the screen freezes, I think we deserved at least a point. But nonetheless, Julian P12, and then some idiot P13, and then Rick P14. But that is it for the race results. And now, in terms of the Drivers' Championship after that race, Smeej is the new leader in the championship, overtaking Koldo, and he's 7 points clear at the top. Meanwhile, Koldo, as I mentioned, P2, THM P3, so Ferrari putting the pressure on in a 1-3 in the championship. Julian still P4 after finishing P12 of that race, and Martin G jumps up to P5. We drop down to P6, and if you look at my points tally, it's just not been good enough, to be honest with you. Silverstone, I could have scored probably P7, again, a little bit unlucky with the screen freezes on the last lap, because I was by myself the entire race. The second I hit traffic, I get screen freezes, and it should have been P7 at Silverstone, maybe P8. It should have been like P6, P7 here today again, and Bahrain as well could have been easily like P6, P7, but penalties and screen freezes just ruined it for me. And in the end, our only points come, in only 3 races, but the big points came in Australia, luckily enough. Hopefully, if I can still get a race win on the board and get one more win, that would bring my points tally to 61, so that put me back up into 4th place. So I'm not miles away just yet. There's 4 races to go, but I need to really chalk up at least a podium in the next race to really bounce back and score some big points. But meanwhile, then we've got Zerd, Lemon, Marion and Crysis running out the top 10, and then Serdai, Suisse, some idiot, Raven, Rayner, Error, Warwick, Brownie, and then we've got Ralgon and also Wakanis rounding off the top 20 in the championship, guys. But that's going to be it for this video and this race in AOR for the PC F2 split for the German Grand Prix. If you guys did enjoy it, drop a like and also subscribe if you are new, and I'll see you guys in the next race very soon for the Belgium Grand Prix next week. But yeah, guys, until then, check out these 2 videos on your screen if you have missed them, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. But until then, it's goodbye from me.